Well, it might be I could ride a chuck wagon.
We've already got a cook.
That is right, Mr. Dunce, but might be old Cookie.
Amidst the opulence and splendor of Hollywood's golden age, the intricacies of celebrity and wealth cast a shadow. Tom Ball's name may not be as well known as Walter Brennan's, but both men's lives were tumultuous and scandalous behind the scenes of Hollywood aristocracy. As revealed on America's Got Talent, what awful events in Tom Ball's life led to this? Is Walter Brennan truly the most villainous Hollywood figure? Come with us as we examine Walter Brennan, Hollywood's most evil man. Less than 2 miles from his family's house in Swampscott, Massachusetts, Walter Brennan was born on July 25, 1894, in Lynn, Massachusetts. His family has deep roots in America's working class. Walter Brennan was born to Irish immigrants. Being an engineer and inventor, his father encouraged his son to think creatively and independently from a young age. Brennan grew up in the sleepy Massachusetts hamlet of Swampscott, where he enjoyed the carefree joys of youth unspoiled by the flash and glamour of Hollywood. Brennan yearned for more than just a life in his tiny town, no matter how modest his home. Even though it seemed at odds with his background, he had always felt a strong pull toward the performing arts. Still, his fate was to be shaped by this unforeseen burst of imagination. But destiny had other plans for Brennan. World War I veered him off course and forced him to find his way again. Was Walter Brennan involved in any way when the conflict broke out? Concerning Walter Brennan's professional and personal connections, how did his purported shadow side affect them? Find out by continuing to watch. The young Brennan was suddenly thrown into adulthood when the war broke out, and he had to put his aspirations on hold to take care of his job. He put his creative ambitions on hold and started out on a path of realism and practicality by becoming a bank clerk. His enlistment occurred when he was employed as a bank clerk, Army, and during World War I he was a soldier in the 101st Field Artillery Regiment in France. For 2 years he was also a soldier in France. His exposure to mustard gas injured his vocal cords, giving him the uniquely reedy, high-pitched voice that would become a favorite of celebrity impersonators for decades. This voice became his cinematic hallmark. Brennan came back to America with new goals in mind after the war. He had ambitions of becoming a pineapple farmer in Guatemala, but for the time being he was content working as a financial writer for a Boston daily. Unfortunately, his dreams never came true, and he was only able to reach Los Angeles. He became wealthy in the early 1920s thanks to the real estate boom, but he lost nearly all of it in the real estate crash of 1925. Brennan, who was homeless and in need of money, started working as an extra in movies at Universal Studios in 1925 for $7.50 a day, or $125.15 in today's dollars. Despite its lack of glamour, this profession provided him several opportunities. Over the following decade, he worked intermittently at Universal. He had a string of small appearances in films from 1925 to 1935. He persisted until he got the part in Come and Get It in 1936, and he won his first Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for that performance. His triumph was followed by 2 other Oscars for his performances in 1938's Kentucky and 1940's The Westerner, confirming his position as Hollywood's all-time great and making him the first man to win 3 acting Oscars. His incredible journey from modest origins to cinematic glory began on the battlefields of World War I and ended on the sound stages of Hollywood. After winning the Oscar, Brennan's career took off. The incredible rise to fame of Walter Brennan in Hollywood is a story of boundless drive and extraordinary talent, capped by his record-breaking accomplishment of winning 3 Best Supporting Actor Oscars. This achievement cemented his place in cinematic history and demonstrated his incredible range as an actor. Brennan's rise to fame began in 1936, when he won a pioneering Oscar for his portrayal of Swan Bostrom in Come and Get It. He established himself as a major player in Hollywood with his nuanced and emotionally charged portrayal of Bostrom, which earned him the esteemed Academy Award. This triumph laid the groundwork for an accomplished career that would be lauded for its breadth and depth. Brennan continued his winning streak in 1938, when he played the ardent horse breeder Peter Goodwin in a production in Kentucky that won both critics and spectators alike. He solidified his image as an adaptable acting force and won his second Academy Award for his performance in this part, which demonstrated his mastery of a broad range of emotions. As indicated before, Walter Brennan had another outstanding performance in 1940's The Westerner, playing Judge Roy Bean to perfection. This part showcased Brennan's remarkable ability to portray multi-dimensional characters on television. He won his third Oscar for his subtle and compelling performance as Alan, and the role cemented his position in cinematic history. Even Brennan, with his impressive resume, had to deal with the problems of typecasting. Brennan faced the double-edged sword of being stereotyped as an adorable or kind-hearted old man, as his association with that character grew stronger. This phenomena showcased his talent for those specific parts, but it also constrained his options for other roles, highlighting the complex dynamics that performers frequently face in Hollywood's casting process. Still, Brennan's filmography is proof of his remarkable talent for giving life to every role he played. Beyond the limitations of typecasting, his performances were marked by genuine emotion and profound influence on audiences throughout the globe. Brennan's career, which was filled with iconic performances, is a beacon of creative integrity and dedication in the dynamic world of cinema, and it inspires both performers and directors. But underneath all the praise and admiration, a story begins to emerge, revealing the difficulties and complexity of striving for artistic greatness in the entertainment business. During their 54-year marriage, Walter Brennan and Josephine Dorsey produced 3 children: Arthur, Walter, and Ruth. The wedding took place in Sauk, Wisconsin, USA on November 11, 1903. 20 miles north of Joseph, Oregon, on 12,000 acres, Brennan bought the Lightning Creek Ranch in 1940. From his ranch, he constructed Joseph's Indian Lodge Motel, movie theater, and variety store. From then until his death, he continued to retire there between film appearances. There are still some distant relatives of his who call the place home. Although Brennan has never made his religious affiliation public, he did say in 1964 that he is too old not to be a religious fella. He is a Roman Catholic. He went on to say that it seems like society is losing something for which many people have sacrificed a lot. Project Prayer was a gathering that Brennan spoke at that same year, with 2,500 people in attendance at Los Angeles' Shrine Auditorium. Hosted by Anthony Isley, the event aimed to saturate Congress with pro-school prayer letters in the wake of 2 Supreme Court rulings that struck down compulsory school prayer as unconstitutional, citing a conflict with the First Amendment's Establishment Clause. Carl Rollison claims that Brennan was known to name people as communists if they supported John F. Kennedy because of Brennan's strong anti-communist beliefs. Brennan's steadfast position against imagined dangers is seen in Rollison's book, which discloses his extreme views, such as his assumption that a machine gun might have quenched the Watts riots. In addition, there were reports that Brennan's residence had a bunker filled with supplies and weaponry, showing that he was well prepared for a possible Soviet invasion. According to Rollison, Brennan also made stunning comments about how happy he was about the assassinations of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy, which shocked the people working on the guns of Will Sonnet. Furthermore, Brennan's contentious views and actions are further demonstrated by his repeated racist comments, as recounted by Everett Greenbaum. Brennan surrounded himself with influential Republicans who shared his conservative beliefs as a member of the Motion Picture Alliance for the Preservation of American Ideals. Because Goldwater opposed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, he first backed Goldwater for president in 1964. In 1968, Brennan decided that Republican Richard Nixon was too liberal and therefore backed George Wallace. Brennan was an active participant in the 1972 campaign of John Schmitz, a fellow member of the John Birch Society and a far-right candidate. He was finance chairman and narrated advertising in Schmitz's favor. Another example of Brennan's steadfast support for conservative causes and politicians is his endorsement of Ronald Reagan for governor of California in 1966 and his re-election in 1970. Walter Brennan's off-screen ideas and behavior caused a dramatic change in public image, despite his stellar acting career and 3 Best Supporting Actor Oscars. His prominent Hollywood career was overshadowed by Brennan's political beliefs and connections, especially his membership in the John Birch Society. Brennan was warmly welcomed into the John Birch Society, which is known for its conservative and frequently controversial views. The civil rights movement was a critical social conflict of his day, and this link put him in alignment with those fiercely opposing it. Brennan's political views went beyond personal convictions. He was vocal about them, using his celebrity and position to express viewpoints that polarized audiences. His alleged bigotry and his opposition to civil rights movements became hotly debated topics. According to reports, he was not afraid to express his views. Even after the horrible events that befell the civil rights movement, he would even celebrate them. The changing attitudes of American society in the 1960s were in sharp contrast to Brennan's stance on social equality and civil rights. There is a stark contrast between this part of Brennan's life and the charming personalities he portrayed in films. During his last years, progressive organizations were gathering momentum, but he actively opposed civil rights and was a member of the John Birch Society. Overshadowing his cinematic accomplishments, his deeds and beliefs created a complicated legacy. Brennan has made indisputable contributions to the Hollywood industry, but his activism and opinions outside of film have prompted continuous discussions about how to honor his artistic legacy while also addressing his political and social views. Especially for those in the entertainment business, this period of Brennan's life makes one think about how deeply one's ideas might affect their public legacy. The screen was only the beginning of Brennan's impact. Hollywood legend Walter Brennan utilized his prominent position to speak out on social and political issues, in addition to his legendary roles in the golden age of Hollywood. Walter Brennan's influence reached well beyond Hollywood, touching the lives of his admirers and the general public alike during his long and fruitful career. The impact of his work extended well beyond the boundaries of cinema. It resounded through several mediums, profoundly influencing public opinion and social conversation. Brennan was more than just a bystander within the John Birch Society. He actively promoted the conservative principles held by his fellow members. He became an outspoken supporter of the group by capitalizing on his celebrity profile and used his platform to spread the word. Brennan spread his ideas on communism and civil rights, among other topics, through public speeches, radio broadcasts, and participation at events and demonstrations. These actions allowed Brennan to capitalize on his fame, which he used to amplify his views, reach more people, and shape public debates on important political issues. His impact on the cultural and political climate of his day was profound, lasting well beyond his film career, thanks to his outspoken activism and fiery speeches. The complicated interplay between Brennan's notoriety and personal convictions was laid bare by the complex and multifaceted effects of his actions on his fan base and society at large. On the one hand, he had a close relationship with his conservative audience members because of his forthright personality. Brennan was more than an actor to these people. He spoke for their worst fears and most strongly held convictions, giving his movies and TV shows greater meaning and impact. On the other side, some of Brennan's listeners became estranged from him due to his political involvement and outspoken views. It became more and more difficult for individuals who disagreed with him or were discouraged by his position on civil rights issues to reconcile the actor's off-screen image with the roles he played. The inherent contradiction of celebrity power was exemplified by the fact that this dissonance led to his declining appeal among a more progressive population. A case in point of the complex forces at work in the world of fame and social power is Brennan's polarizing public personality, which won over some fans while alienating others. Using his platform, Walter Brennan had far-reaching consequences for society, especially during a time of great social upheaval in the United States. Public declarations like his outspoken anti-civil rights and conservative views had a lot of sway, since they may change people's minds and even change political paths. As the world around her changed, Brennan's position reflected the era's tensions by further dividing people along cultural and political lines. His viewpoints carried weight as a prominent figure, deepening society's divisiveness. But Brennan's life changed dramatically, with an increasing paranoia, as the nation was engulfed in terror. His personal and professional connections, as well as his final years, were profoundly affected by this change. Walter Brennan was consumed by Cold War paranoia in the latter stages of his distinguished career, a prevalent feeling that profoundly influenced his interactions and put a strain on his relationships. He went to great lengths because of a deep and abiding dread of communism, which was common among his peers. Every part of Brennan's existence was consumed by the constant worry of communist infiltration, which caused him to be very vigilant and suspicious. His connections outside of work were also impacted by his persistent worry, which in turn shaped his dealings with others in the film business. As Brennan faced the threat of communism, his behavior and attitude mirrored the prevalent atmosphere of dread and uncertainty that defined that time. He was estranged from everyone around him due to his paranoia, which also tarnished his reputation and made it harder for people to remember a once-loved Hollywood star. For Brennan, communism was more than just a political philosophy. It was an existential threat that permeated every part of American culture. He incorrectly linked communist influence to the newly formed civil rights movement and the affluent streets of Hollywood. His perspective and actions in the film business and beyond were shaped by this philosophy, which was more than simply a passing notion. The extreme John Birch Society was Brennan's home, and his anti-communist convictions ran deep throughout the group. Because of his membership, he acted suspiciously toward his colleagues in the film business, doubted their political views, and eventually severed ties with those he thought were too left-wing. Walter Brennan's fears were tangible during the McCarthy period, when charges flew like wildfire, and they greatly influenced his life and the people he met. Anxieties about a communist invasion drove Brennan to extreme lengths, including securing his home to endure a possible siege. He had prepared this safe haven with great care, making sure it had food, drink, and weapons for what he anticipated would be an inevitable battle. However, Brennan's reaction extended beyond just physical defenses. In order to prepare himself for life after the invasion, he dove headfirst into survival training, learning a wide array of abilities. He was so paranoid and terrified of communism that he was willing to go to any lengths to be ready for anything. His deeds had far-reaching consequences, isolating himself from those who did not share his fears and consuming all of his energy. When compared to Brennan's former status as a revered person in Hollywood, celebrated for his filmic achievements, this seclusion was striking. His contributions to cinema were overshadowed by his association with political radicalism and survivalist activities. This change in public opinion led to a fall in his career, which further complicated his legacy as an actor who was previously beloved. Fear can eclipse a lifetime of achievements. Brennan's last years are a sobering reminder of this. Both Brennan's cinematic genius and the complexities of his own ideas and worries must be recognized when we consider his legacy. Truly, he was a man torn between two spheres of influence. Even after Brennan was no longer actively involved, his legacy was silently evolving. Brennan consciously chose to pull back from the limelight after a great career that had a lasting influence on Hollywood. Upon retiring, he settled into life in Ventura County, away from the glitz and glitter of film premieres and red carpets. Brennan sought refuge from the scrutiny of the public in this serene environment. In his spare time, he enjoyed spending with his loved ones and doing things he enjoyed. During this time of reflection, he was able to reflect on a career spanning decades, a career full with parts that had won the hearts of audiences all over the world. It was a period of contemplation and gratitude for the path he had taken in the film industry. In the movie industry, Walter Brennan was still a fascinating and esteemed personality even after he left Hollywood. Those in the know and those who loved his films never stopped praising him for what he had done. But as time went on, things became more problematic due to his political beliefs and behavior in his final years. The general public and the film industry have divergent reactions to this. The golden age of Hollywood seemed to come to a close with Brennan's death on September 21, 1974, at the age of 80, at the hands of MPAMA. In the wake of his passing, many have reflected on his legacy and paid respect to his cinematic accomplishments. Los Angeles' San Fernando Mission Cemetery is the last resting place for Brennan, who left behind an extensive body of work that is both admired and studied by scholars today. Film historians, reviewers, and fans have reassessed Brennan's legacy in the years after his demise. Some have questioned whether we should consider an artist's personal opinions when evaluating their work, given his evident brilliance and the enduring influence of his performances, as well as his beliefs and conduct outside of the spotlight. We continue to ponder and argue Brennan's legacy and the man himself in our pursuit of understanding the intricate relationship between artistic expression and personal beliefs. Brennan's path from Massachusetts to Hollywood prominence, punctuated by 3 Oscar awards, stands in stark contrast to his contentious political involvement and opinions outside of film. The complicated legacy of a respected performer overshadowed by contentious personal convictions is brought to light in his narrative. Birth year of Tom Ball is 1998. He began his meteoric climb to stardom in 2022 after auditioning for both Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent. All stars. He is an English singer. Tom Ball began his career in education at Burgess Hill, West Sussex, where he taught secondary students. Ball tried out for the 2022 season of Britain's Got Talent in front of Simon Cowell, Amanda Holden, David Walliams, and Alicia Dixon at an audition on April 17, 2022. Both the audience and the judges went wild with his performance of Writings on the Wall, a song by Sam Smith. Tom kept his condition under control throughout the tournament, even though his blood sugar levels may have impaired his singing. Just 2 days before the live final, though, Tom started to feel quite ill. His wife, Hannah, contacted 111 and was instructed to take him to the hospital. Tom Ball was admitted to the hospital hours before the live final that same month with a potentially fatal ailment. But he sang Rise Like a Phoenix by Conchita Wurst in the 3rd semi-final on June 1, 2022. On June 6th, he made it to the finals as well, when he sang I Who Have Nothing by Tom Jones and placed 3rd. Tom Ball revealed to The Sun in an interview that his diabetes had led to 8 hospitalizations during his life, also saying that he would not have done it unless circumstances were very severe. Independent label Westway Music signed Tom Ball in June 2023, and March 2024 was confirmed as the release date for his debut album Curtain Call. Simon Cowell's Got Talent franchise includes the internationally renowned talent program America's Got Talent, AGT, which is shown on American television. Fremantle USA produces the show, Psycho Entertainment handles distribution, and NBC airs the episodes. It didn't launch until June 21, 2006, after a disagreement at British broadcaster ITV had halted 2005 plans for a British version. After the first season was a smashing success, production would pick back up in 2007. Over the years, the show has had a rotating cast of hosts and has broadcast mostly during the summer on the network. At this time, Terry Crews is hosting. A wide range of talented individuals from all around the world, including the United States, apply to the program. There is a wide selection of acts that include singing, dancing, comedy, magic, feats, and more. In order to compete for a spot in the season's live episodes, each auditionee must win over a panel of judges. Sofia Vergara, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and Cowell make up the present lineup. If they make it to the live episodes, the contestants fight for the votes of the judges and the viewers. The winner advances to the final live event. The grand prize consists of a substantial sum of money, which is given out gradually. In Season 3, the winner also has the opportunity to be the main attraction in a performance on the Las Vegas Strip. On a seasonally average, the show attracts about 10 million people, making it a ratings triumph for NBC. Inside AGT, The Untold Stories of America's Got Talent was published in 2013 and details the show's production methods, participants, judges, and seasons. Up to the book's release date, it features in-depth interviews with competitors from every season. With the 18th season airing from May to September 2023, the series has been around for a long time. It has also produced 4 spin-off competitions: AGT, Extreme in 2022, America's Got Talent; All-Stars in 2023, America's Got Talent; Fantasy League in 2024, and America's Got Talent: The Champions, which aired from 2019 to 2020. Cruz will host the show again in the summer of 2024, while judges Cowell, Mandel, Klum, and Vergara will likely return for Season 19. Sony Music executive and creator of The X Factor, Simon Cowell, wanted to make a talent show that was bigger and better than anything else on television, so he came up with the idea for America's Got Talent. In 2005, he initially pitched the idea to ITV, a British television network, for a talent show where everyone, regardless of age or location, could compete and showcase whatever kind of ability they liked. Cowell assembled a panel of 3 judges, including tabloid writer Piers Morgan, after the network approved the idea and gave the go-ahead to produce a pilot episode to test the model. Everything went well with the pilot. British television celebrity Paul O'Grady, who had helped with the pilot before Cowell proposed the model for American television, was originally supposed to host the 2005-2006 British edition of the show. Nevertheless, O'Grady ended his contract with ITV and defected to another British network after getting into a conflict with them while working on the new show. This caused Cowell to put the British version on hold as he rushed to introduce the concept to the American market. In response to criticism of the ITV pilot, Cowell approached many networks about developing a broadcast competition for their networks. After receiving an offer, he signed a deal to create 15 episodes for the summer 2006 schedule. Although he was involved with Fremantle and Psycho Entertainment, Cowell opted to serve as executive producer for the new program rather than a judge. Morgan, David Hasselhoff, and Brandy Norwood were the judges, while Regis Philbin was the host. After the first season was a smashing success, NBC ordered more, and ITV got in touch with Cowell to start making the British version again in 2007. After both the British and American versions of Got Talent were huge hits, Simon Cowell took offers to own the rights to the competition format and turn it into a successful franchise. Much obliged for your time. Before you go, see another one of our entertaining videos and subscribe to our channel.